Yeah, let's talk about Backlash. May 6th, Cinco de Mayo weekend, and I made me some nachos. I'm a pretty plain guy. I don't really like condiments too much. So I had white cheddar, sharp cheddar, sour cream. That was it. I don't typically do the Doritos thing. I had like some regular yellow corn tortilla chips. I could barely breathe before the first match was over. So I'm telling you, I was pumped up on nachos, and Puerto Rico gave everything they could to this show. And I was thrilled, generally speaking. I was very happy with this show. I think it was kind of ruined by the way they structured the show. Obviously, show structure, you got to work on that. It seemed pretty obvious to anybody with a working brain that Bad Bunny should have main evented this show. But you can't win them all. Also, along with the nachos, I also had a kale salad, and I realized eating raw kale probably not the best. I had the kale, I shaved it off the stem like you do greens, chopped it up with some cucumbers. That was it, with like some ranch dressing, and man, that kale is some of the driest greenery I've ever had in my life. I've been drinking water ever since. I've been drinking water for 3 hours trying to get to swish the kale out of my mouth. So I didn't get to really enjoy any dessert. So that was a bummer. But enough about food. Let's get into the visual feast that was Backlash. Y'all like how I did that, didn't you? Match 1. The Raw Women's Championship. Bianca Belair versus Iyo Sky. Absolutely tremendous contest between these two women. Actual chain wrestling in this match. Now, I want to talk about a little bit about this. There was a tweet from a gentleman by the name of Sam Adonis. Now, Sam Adonis is a pro wrestler in Mexico. He's actually Corey Graves' little brother, too. But he says, quote, "Is there even one modern high flyer who's advanced on the mat as well? Ultimo, Liger, Sayama, etc. had to master mat wrestling before flying. How have so many who are quote unquote inspired by them seem to have skipped that part, saying wrestling has evolved as a BS cop-out?" And I have to say, since Iyo Sky is known mostly as a high flyer, she really didn't do a lot in this match. This match was a lot of really good counter wrestling and a lot of good solid groundwork. Submission holds, working the shoulder and elbow, the arm, targeting the body part. It was great. This is what pro wrestling should be. It was tremendous. And the story that they told was that Iyo was basically doing fine by herself. Working on her own. She had counters for a lot of Bianca's offense. She was able to stay in the match despite the size and strength difference. She was able to negate that by working the arm. There was a small botch. Well, I don't know if you might not want to call it small, where they did Bianca Belair did the one arm military press, which is always a great spot, but it's the going down that's the problem, because she pretty much spiked Iyo right on the face, and I was like, oof, that wasn't good. That one, like, it hurt. But other than that, this match was very solid. Bianca was there with her every step of the way. It was tremendous. They did a second rope powerbomb as Bianca stuffed 2 attempts to do a Hurricane Rana from the top rope. That should have been the 3 count if we're being honest, but it's modern wrestling, so you don't get that. After the big powerbomb spot, Damage Control comes running out there, and Dakota Kai, who apparently I was told is 35 years old. That today or tomorrow or the day before yesterday or something like that was her birthday. And now she's 35 years old. Dakota Kai looks like she's 26. This is both a gift and a curse. One, we see why Vince wasn't interested in doing anything with her if she was already in her early 30s when she got called up from NXT. Well, she was in NXT. But, she looks great for her age. She looks tremendous. My goodness. 35. That's crazy. Anyway, Bayley and Dakota Kai gets involved. Bayley is wearing these pants. Barely wearing these pants. where it's really weird seams where they're open so you can see a little bit of skin. And you know Bayley's trunk is it's nice. And yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good, man. So I know it's hot down there, so she probably it gotta breathe a little bit. You know, need some breathing holes like a dolphin. You need a breathing hole. Gotta breathe out of these things. Any event, Damage Control come down there. They're getting involved. And at this point, Iyo kind of loses control of the match. Dakota's popping in and out. Bayley's popping in and out. At one point, Iyo has a chance to win with the moonsault, but the referee steps in the way of the moonsault to tell Bayley to let go of Bianca Belair's hair, which was a very interesting spot because the way Bayley was holding Bianca's hair, it was so Bianca couldn't move for the moonsault. And when the ref got in the way to stop it, that gave Bianca a chance to get free and actually move, which actually led to the finish. So despite the fact that it wasn't as on the nose as I would have liked for it to be, it was pretty clear from watching this match that Iyo was fine until Bayley and Dakota Kai got involved. And that's going to be the story going forward, is that Iyo is tremendous. She's very good. And she would have been the Raw Women's Champion if it wasn't for that dang old Bayley. Also, the crowd was 100% on the side of Iyo. They were actually booing Bianca. Bianca kind of smiled through it. And, you know, she worked a little bit more aggressively. She worked a little bit more cocky. She kind of fed into the boos a little bit. And then Damage Control came out and things started to get a little weird because the crowd really, really did want Iyo to win. They were like, hey, we want to see a title change here. And this is the one that's most likely to happen in terms of title changes, because literally this is the only other title match. They know that the belt is not going to change. So they're saying to themselves, we want a title change here. And it's also just got to be, you know, people are kind of, Bianca's getting a John Cena push. So they're starting to favor her opponents. They would try, I guess, and it also was that kind of, they're somewhere else. They're not in the United States, but I can see this kind of being a thing going forward for Bianca, where she's been pushed so heavily that people start turning against her, and she's no longer the underdog, especially since she's bigger, stronger than Iyo, and the only thing Iyo's got on her is agility, because, you know, Bianca can move too. She can do 450s and stuff like that too. So she comes across like a Jane Doe, like she can do everything, you know. So you have to create ways in order to get the upper hand on her. And they did something very smart by targeting that arm and shoulder. So this is a really good match. And for a long time, this was the match of the night. I was deeply surprised by how great this match was. Omos versus Seth Rollins. This match was what I expected it to be. Omos does very basic offense. He's dominating for most of the match. Seth Rollins pulls off a miracle with a top rope stomp, what my brother called an atomic curb stomp. And I got a bone to pick with that guy. I got a bone to pick with my other brother too, but we're not going to talk about this one here. But I just found out my brother, he listens to like wrestling podcasts and stuff, but he is not subscribed to my channel. So we should all collectively shame my little brother for not being one of the 5,000 strong when it comes to, well, I guess he hears my voice enough. Maybe that's the case. Maybe, like 30 years of me yelling at him about stuff. He's like, you know what? I'm about to listen to that shit in my free time. So maybe I'll cut up some slack. I don't want to hear that motherfucker in my free time, you know. But anyway, I thought it was cool that he called it the atomic curb stomp. So I liked it. So I wrote that down. So it was off the top rope, actually. There was a little MVP stuff here. But the match was generally a pretty basic match. Omos 3 for 3, and them putting him in tests. You know, like random match with Braun Strowman. Everybody thought, oh, this match is going to suck. It turned out to be very decent. His match at WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar turned out to be really decent, and this turned out to be really decent. It's almost as if they know what they're doing, and maybe we should stop, attacking them as if they don't know what they're doing. It still should be a storyline attached to this match, but they have some idea of what they're doing. In terms of Omos stuffing the stomp, which was a great spot, Seth tries to do the stomp, and Omos just doesn't budge. Like, he just stands on the back of his neck, and Omos just doesn't budge. A great giant spot. Goes to show that, Omos is no mortal man, So I like that. Ultimately, the right guy won. And, this is the right decision going forward. Yes, Omos should actually start winning at some point. It becomes less and less impactful the more you do the giant loses to smaller man. And it was fine when it was Brock. It was fine when it was I'm about to say Roman. It was fine when it was Braun Strowman. But Seth is 200 pounds barely. So we got to do a little bit more in terms of not making Omos a jobber to the stars, which is not a spot that you want. Okay, so he's got to start winning sometimes. I know that's going to seem weird, but he's going to have to get into a feud where he actually wins sometimes, rather than he works a match, and if this guy has any sort of main event potential, Omos is going to lose. So get ready for it, because it's going to eventually happen where Omos is going to win a match he probably shouldn't. Y'all going to be like, whoa, did Omos win? It's like, he got to win sometime, for Christ's sake. Match 3, Bobby Lashley versus Bronson Reed versus Austin Theory. Look, I told you exactly what was going to happen in this match, didn't I? Lashley had the match won. Austin Theory snuck in and stole the pin. It's literally the finish of every triple threat match since literally forever. I cannot stand this format. And you telling me I have to watch 4 more of these fucking things for the rest of this week? I gotta watch 2 on SmackDown and 2 on Raw. They're gonna all end the same fucking way. Oh, he's gonna beat. Oh, wait, no, wait. Come on. Kill this fucking gimmick, man. Set this fucking gimmick on fire. I hate triple threat matches. Get rid of this shit, man. Just get rid of it. Talk about the match. Bronson Reed got 0 reaction. He was the first wrestler to come on the screen and get nothing, which is not a surprise. Austin Theory barely got anything, too. Mainly because these are guys that are rarely utilized properly in WWE. But Bronson Reed actually started getting over somewhat during the match. And he did an absolutely insane Vader bomb on Lashley, where Lashley was standing. It was a standing Vader bomb. It was it looked like a botch. That's how great it was. So Lashley was standing on the floor. And Bronson Reed bounced off the second turnbuckle and just came down on him. I don't know if Lashley was supposed to catch him. I'm guessing he wasn't, because he just took him out. It was a great spot. Later in the match, Bronson Reed actually came for a moonsault. He actually tried a moonsault and it didn't work out. And that actually was what led to the finish. You also had an interesting spot here with Bobby Lashley put Austin Theory in the hurt lock, and Austin Theory countered it. And it looked like they were going to do a tsunami onto both of them, but then, Bobby Lashley kicked out and then took the tsunami himself before kicking out. So it was a solid enough match. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. And it was just, generally speaking, the same fucking finish for every triple threat match. The heel steals the victory, or even sometimes the babyface steals it. It's stupid. I hate it. And we're all better off without it. And now you're telling me, oh, Mongo, now you have to watch 4 more of these fucking matches later this week. Well, thank you for that slap in the face. I appreciate it. Match 4, SmackDown Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega. So Zelina Vega comes out and she's decked out in everything Puerto Rico. She's got the red, white, and blue hair. She's got the cape. I mean, the crowd is going absolutely apeshit. She doesn't even use her own theme. She uses the LWO theme. which I think took away from her a little bit. But she was weeping, like openly weeping during the introductions. She could not keep a straight face at all. And, you know, I'm willing to give people that moment. All right. This is very special. A lot of people didn't expect WWE to, you know, do anything in Puerto Rico, let alone for her to get such a huge spotlight. And as for somebody who has so many ups and downs in WWE as Zelina Vega, especially since you knew she wasn't going to win this match, it's okay to give her that moment. You know, generally speaking, though, I'm not really a big fan of wrestlers like weeping in the ring, unless you just won the title or something like that. But generally, I'm overwhelmed in this moment, kind of crying like Bianca and Sasha at the main event of WrestleMania, or you know, this. But you know, if you just lost the biggest match of your career and you cry, I mean, it is what it is. If you know, like when Sasha lost, and I think in Brooklyn, and she was crying, that was one thing. If you win the biggest match of your career and you cry, that's fine. But just crying during the introductions, I'm just kind of like, wow, ain't nothing happened yet. You know, like, I understand but it's very emotional, especially when you're not expecting it. So it was great. And they gave her quite a bit in this match. It was longer than I expected it to be, if we're being honest. They gave Zelina some really good opportunities here. There at one point she went and got like chancla, the sandal, and she threw it at Rhea Ripley. It was not a disqualification, even though, you know, because it was like a small sandal. But everybody bonding over being abused by their parents with house shoes. So it feels real Latinum to me. Feels so very Latin American. But you guys got it easy. You got hit with that sandal. That sandal is flat. It's kind of, I don't know what kind of material it is, but it didn't look like it hurt that bad. You know, my mom was a little bit more severe than a chancla. You know, we talking about extension cords. You know, but we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about our childhood traumas and how our brothers don't subscribe to our channels and how that made me, it hurt my feelings, man. You know, but I get it. I get it. I made that. I think I ate some of my nachos and he didn't subscribe to my channel. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Anyway, the match was fine. And Rhea Ripley won the match. So it seemed as if Rhea Ripley, the story they were telling was Rhea Ripley had underestimated Zelina Vega. So Zelina Vega is taking advantage. She's got some good counter stuff to a lot of Rhea Ripley's offense. It was similar in scope, but much shorter than the Iyo and Bianca Belair match, which was a little bit more even. This one, Zelina was clearly the underdog babyface, and she wasn't going to be able to overcome. But she did hit, you know, counter the Riptide into the Tornado DDT. It did happen. So they did tell that story with the story they had told before. And it wasn't enough. So Rhea Ripley finally had enough. Kicked Zelina in the head, Riptide, pin. And then she left the ring very quickly, which typically means that they're trying to goad the audience into, you know, applauding for the person still in the ring. And that's exactly what happened. So Zelina Vega got a monster reaction, standing ovation. People sang for her and everything. She was crying again. She deserved that moment. It was a decent match. It wasn't great. They didn't give them the time that they gave Iyo and Bianca. And it's clear that they decided that Rhea's character needed to be established a little bit more. So even though it was not technically a hometown match for Zelina Vega, but you know, this is where her family is. And they gave her enough that she wasn't embarrassed, but they didn't give her too much to make her seem like Rhea was in any legitimate danger of losing the title, which I guess is the fairest thing you could do given the scenario, right? Okay. Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest. Earlier in the night, Rey Mysterio and Bad Bunny are speaking Spanish. I don't know what's being said. Ninja, you know Spanish apparently. What were they talking about? Anyway, Savio Vega walks onto the screen, and he's carrying a kendo stick with the Puerto Rican flag on it. And I swear to God, you think that Road Warrior Hawk and Road Warrior Animal had been resurrected with the pop that Savio Vega got when he just stepped onto the screen. I mean, it was chilling, the reaction that he got. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like, look, I know Savio Vega runs a promotion in Puerto Rico. He runs a promotion that is sort of a rival promotion to the Colognes. It's called IWA. If I remember correctly, WWE owns some of that videotape library. They also own the Colognes videotape library. Of course, that stuff may never actually make air. But you would think after the huge reaction they got in Puerto Rico, that you will probably want to put some of that stuff up on the network, just to capitalize on the momentum of, the Latin World Order and all the stuff that they're doing right now. Hey, start putting some of that Puerto Rico stuff up on the net. Please. How about it? We've been waiting on that shit for years. Literally, waiting on it for years. They got IWA and they got some of the Cologne stuff. Put it up on the network. Stop. What are you waiting for? Yes, it's bloody as hell and it's violent and, probably some of the tape has been ruined from, hurricanes or whatever, but do what you can. Do what you can. And put subtitles on it because I know it's in Spanish. Put subtitles on that shit. But put it up there. Anyway, Savio Vega got a monster reaction, but it paled in comparison to the absolute gobsmacking reaction that Bad Bunny got when he came out. I mean, it was not a surprise, but I think they said it was 17,000 people in the building. You think it was twice as many when Bad Bunny came out there. There was not a person sitting still. There was not a person sitting down. There was I don't think anybody was texting. I think for about 90 seconds, everybody was like, this moment means something. I didn't see anybody looking through their phone. I didn't see anybody recording the moment on their phone. Everybody was captivated by the moment. And it took me all the way back to when people used to react that way to just like regular wrestlers. And you could talk about the way the business has sort of fallen off, that wrestlers don't get that kind of reaction anymore. Now the celebrities do. But I don't give a shit. Bad Bunny not only, got this reaction because they're in Puerto Rico, he's Puerto Rican, and he's one of the top streaming artists in the world, if not the top streaming artist in the world. I don't remember if there's anybody streaming more than he is. But also because he works so hard at what he does. This match was fucking good. This match fucking ruled. It was pure WWE sports entertainment, gaga in the middle of the match, which it was completely unnecessary. But I'm glad it was there because it was a welcome reprieve from the match that they were having. But these guys, this match was fucking amazing. Them legitimately not closing the show with this, foolish. All right. It's so foolish for them not to close the show with this because Bad Bunny's reaction blew the doors off the building. Carlito came out in the middle of this match and it rivaled the Savio Vega pop. When Carlito's theme played, I hadn't heard it in so long. I was like, who the fuck is that? And then I saw the reaction. And then I saw Carlito and I was like, God damn, I was standing up. All right, now I'm into this, I'm standing up. Because he runs out there, he's wearing the Latino World Order shirt. It's like, literally they're multiplying. Like rapidly. And of course, Dominic is out there. He's as Latin as Carlito is. But everybody hates him. Finn Balor is fucking Irish. He's the only fucking white guy out there. So it's great. It's like one white dude who is, Irish, foreign Irish, and every other type of Hispanic in the world surrounding them. It was a great spot. So, I got to break it down for people who maybe not be paying attention. Okay, so Damian he's in minor trouble. And the Judgment Day runs out there. They start beating up on Bad Bunny. Of course they do. Ray runs out there and to help, but it's not enough. So Carlito comes out there, blows the doors off the building. Then they beat up Dominic and Finn Balor. Dominic hit Carlito from behind, then tried to run, which was great. He ended up taking a 619 for his troubles. So then Dominic tries to flee. Him and Finn Balor try to get the hell out of there. They're trying to retreat. So Savio Vega comes out there again. So now they're boxed in. Savio comes out there. The rest of the LWO follows him to the ring. So Finn Balor and Dominic are in the middle of the aisleway, staring down Savio Vega, Escobar, and the rest of those guys down here. And if he turns around, Carlito and Ray and Bad Bunny is in the ring. And so they just all mob Dominic and Finn Balor. It was great. It was legitimately awesome. It was good shit. All right. That was a great segment. It was great. Completely over the top, overbooked horse shit, but it worked. It worked. This audience was over the moon for this segment. Over the fucking moon. That you couldn't have done anything to make these people happier. So at that point, I'm thinking, okay, maybe they're going to do all this. And I'm thinking this match is on 5th because they're going to pull some kind of janky finish. Damian Priest is going to win this match, which is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, okay, they're going to pull some kind of janky finish. They're going to have Savio and Carlito, and they're still going to end up with Damian Priest winning. And it didn't happen. They have a spot where Damian roundhouse kicks the ring post. He hurts his knee, his ankle and foot. So now we're getting psychology in a Bad Bunny match. More psychology in a Bad Bunny match than in a Young Bucks match in 3 fucking years. He takes the kendo stick, whop across the ankle. Did it 2 or 3 times. Now he starts targeting the ankle. Then he puts him in a figure 4 leg lock. I'm thinking, this guy actually studies this fucking business. This is a guy who actually studies for the pop quiz. He studied for his finals. All right. He didn't just, go to party and drink spiked lemonade and then show up half fucked up to class. This dude took this shit seriously. He's committed. I appreciate that. This is up there. This is beyond Johnny Knoxville, by the way. Johnny Knoxville was a really, really fun gimmick, but this is like next level. Bad Bunny and Logan Paul are in a class of their own when it comes to celebrity wrestlers. They're on a completely different playing field, and he won the match with a Canadian Destroyer. So he actually won the match with a wrestling hold. He didn't look dominant, but it was clear that Damian Priest was hobbling from, the latter part of the match from kicking the ring post. And they did this thing in a way where Damian didn't get killed by losing. He had to lose, I guess, which was the right decision ultimately. I was thinking, okay, they're going to go the other way because of the way they put this match on. They're going to try to wash, Benito losing out of the people's mouths, even though which probably wouldn't have been possible, but it would have been a tall attempt. But having him go over, I'm like, okay, this was really dumb because now you got to follow this. and nobody could follow this. This was great. Like, this was tremendous. Even though I kind of cringe at the hometown guy wins in his hometown, this was perfect. Bringing in the legends, having them all come in the ring and carry him on their shoulders. The music plays. The people are absolutely going nuts. It's tremendous. Okay. This is fire. It was an absolute fire segment. Pure cake. Loved it. Only critique that I have is the table spot. I probably would have done that differently or not did it at all. But for the most part, match was pure cake. It was fantastic. Not much negative that you can really say about it. Damian Priest isn't hurt by this. And to be quite honest, Damian Priest, you got to give the guy his flowers. He came into WWE, he was already over the age of 35, so they already put a limit on what he could do. But through this partnership with Bad Bunny, he has been pushed to huge matches. And his experience has been able to carry these storylines. And his humility to be the guy who's going to lose to a musician. You know, that's professionalism personified. There have been guys who complain about having to lose to other wrestlers. This guy's been asked to lose in a fight, a one-on-one fight, by the way, to a musician. And he says, you know what? This guy is helping my career just as much as I'm helping his. You know, and as people have been saying, Bad Bunny doesn't need to do this. You know, he doesn't have to do this at all. He could sit at home and watch this. But it's phenomenal that Damian Priest had the humility to say, this is business. And he went out there and he performed beautifully. He apologized to Bad Bunny when he was in trouble. He played chicken shit. He was the dominator at one point, especially early in the match, where he was kicking Bad Bunny's ass. And he had him beat with the South of Heaven, and he pulled him up. And so it was great storytelling from Damian Priest's perspective. Even if you didn't like Bad Bunny and you think it was stupid, you could just watch the Damian Priest parts where everything he does in dominant fashion and how he ebbed and flowed. You know, when it was one-on-one, fisticuffs on fisticuffs, he was kicking Bad Bunny's ass. Bad Bunny even still managed to pull out some cool counters, like he did like some roll-up counters and stuff like that. Like, everything about this match was cake, you know. It wasn't pure hitting each other with garbage cans and kendo sticks and blood and fire or nothing like that. It was legitimately Bad Bunny he did high-flying stuff. He did counter wrestling. He took bumps. He went out there and lived the dream. And Damian Priest was right there with him and did his part, you know, really carried that thing and took it to the next level. Tremendous for all men involved. That thing was impossible to follow. And yet they tried. And so they trotted out the bloodline, the Usos and Solo Sikoa versus Matt Riddle, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. And this match, the crowd really did calm down. Now, these guys, they're still very over, but this was more of a storytelling match than an action-based match. And I'm telling you, I'm tired of all 6 of these guys. I'm tired of the super kicks. I'm over it. I'm over the fucking super kicks. The new angle for the Usos is that they're now mad at each other because now Jimmy has kicked Jay in the face. Jay almost got a Samoan spike from Solo Sikoa. He then gave Solo Sikoa the speech. I'm your brother. You my brother. We brothers. I'm your brother. And then he gave a speech to Sami Zayn. You ruined my family. I blame you, man. You ruined my family, oos. And this is all great. This definitely should have happened before Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. It probably should have gone on third, probably. I would say. This match would have got a much better fan reaction if it had went on third. It also would have got a better reaction if they hadn't fought so much leading up to this. I think those two things really hindered the match. And plus, people were so gassed off of the whole Bad Bunny, Carlito, Savio Vega, the big match, everything happening. Rey Mysterio's out there, which is crazy that we didn't even talk about Rey Mysterio in that whole ordeal. But to have all of that stuff happen, and then you drag out these guys who've been fighting every week for 3 months, you're just you're begging for trouble at that point. So the crowd was very mild on this one. And the Bloodline wins. They win with a blind tag to Solo, who hit a Samoan spike on Matt Riddle. So Matt Riddle continues to lose. Continues to be the reason Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn lose matches. The Bloodline should have won. It was the right decision, I believe. They still told the story of Solo and Jay, which is the story they've been telling for the last couple of weeks now. So we're building to the Jay Solo Sikoa beef, but they need new enemies. They need new opponents. And I don't know how they're going to branch off and do this. So it's going to be interesting, I think. But this isn't over, I fear, because it doesn't give an air of finality to it. It just feels like, oh, they beat Matt Riddle again. It doesn't feel like this is over and done, and we don't ever see these guys fight each other anymore. It just feels like, oh, they won a match in this never-ending feud. Hopefully it's over. Can we all hold hands and pray that this thing is over? Because I really don't need to see these many super kicks in one match ever again. Ever again. So it was just placement on the card for the 6-man tag. I think the same can be said for Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. Crowd was up for Cody. They're up for Brock. They're into this match, but it's not nearly to the same level of, Benito versus Damian Priest. It's just not the same. Cody Rhodes attacks Brock Lesnar before the bell with various weapons, steel steps, steel chair, etc. Basically, just firing on all cylinders. Beat the hell out of Brock to get the advantage. And so when the bell starts, he's got the advantage over Brock. It doesn't last very long before Brock starts brocking, and everything goes downhill for Cody at that point. Bunch of suplexes. Brock has started integrating the vertical suplex, and those things look like they're hurt. Brock's vertical suplex looks like it's not fun. Like that German suplex, I don't know what's going on with Cody. I don't know what's going on with Lashley. I don't know what's going on with John Cena. But that I'm going to throw, he said he's literally throwing you over his head. Why are you putting your arm out? You're going to land on it. Like, you're going to break it. Right? It's like, it's inevitable. These guys landing on their shoulder, taking a German suplex on your shoulder is nuts. Trying to break your fall with your arm is crazy. And Cody did it on pretty much every single one of them. I'm like, oh my God. I know Lashley did the same thing too. He ended up hurting his shoulder. So it was a fun match while it lasted, I think. Brock ended up busted open. Cody, in trying to escape the German suplex, he pulled the turnbuckle pad off. Then later on in the match, Cody drop kicked him in the leg. Into the turnbuckle he goes. Some people think it was hard way. Some people think it was the blade. I'm going to go with it was probably the blade. At that point, Cody starts to fire up because Brock is busted and starting to lag. The cutoff was the F5. Cody kicked out. Brock continues to fight through. Then gets him in a Kimura. And at first it wasn't synced in fully, but then he eventually got it. And then Cody just tipped him over and pinned him with a counter. It was a counter hold. And Cody essentially steals the win and immediately rolls out of the ring and starts going up the ramp. And Brock is in the ring, busted and disgusted that, Cody managed to escape him in this way. Look, I have no problem with the finish. I literally think it was a safe finish. I didn't think Cody was going to win, let alone win by pinfall. So I was surprised by that part. The part that I didn't like is that this was the main event. If this match had gone on first or fourth or something like that, it would have been a perfectly acceptable finish. But for the main event of the show, it was kind of flat. All right. Brock lost to a wrestling hold, which is fine. But Brock Lesnar is an amateur wrestler, so, you kind of like, look, yeah, you want to put Cody over, but an amateur wrestler gets his move countered and he doesn't kick out. Very weird. Very strange decision making, But I'm interested in where they do with Cody now, because this whole thing has been, now Cody can finish the story. Now Cody can get back to finishing the story. And I'm like, okay. The way that the camera was panning on Brock, it doesn't look like this is over. It looked like Brock is going to be pissed that Cody escaped him, and he's going to want, to beat Cody up again. And that feels like, and I use the word feel, it feels like that's what they're going to do. And they're probably just going to have Brock beat up Cody again. And so, okay. It was a solid enough match. I don't know how would I give it on stars? I'd probably do 3.5, maybe 4. The blood really helped. And the fact that they didn't go and immediately wipe the blood off means that, they probably got the A-OK for the blood. The blood fired Cody up. He was all in on that, which made me surprised that Cody didn't bleed. If somebody was going to bleed, it probably should have been Cody. But Brock bled this time, and we'll know, if they use the blood in a storyline, like Brock bled, so now Cody's got to bleed, then this feud is not over. But that feels like that's the direction that we're going to be going in. So I'm very interested in where we're going with both of these guys from this point forward. Especially since this new title is about to be introduced. A lot of people are afraid Brock's going to get it. Most people think Cody's going to go after it. I don't believe Cody's even going to be in the conversation, really. They're probably going to do something where Brock is going to destroy Cody, and Cody's going to have to go home for a little while, and he's going to end up taking a month off or something like that. And he's going to end up missing the tournament completely, probably missing the Saudi show completely. Which seems like a Cody Rhodes thing to do. I think they did that with his feud with Seth Rollins, where he beat Seth Rollins and then Seth showed up, beat him up, and then he had to take some time off as a way of him just not beating everybody on the roster. So Cody won, which was probably the right decision. I don't know. We'll have to see in the future if it's the right decision or not. And it was okay. So we're moving forward with this. The pay-per-view was very good. Pay-per-view was awesome. I saw a lot of fans talk about the Puerto Rican crowd, and some people have some very spicy things to say about, Americans not really appreciating pro wrestling, looking at the tickets for Wembley Stadium, which I think is an asterisk, which I've talked about before. And the way Puerto Rico behaved on this show with the constant energy towards the show. They were very excited about pretty much everything. That, Americans are essentially spoiled. We get wrestling every week, and I've seen people say, like, why should, College Park, Iowa get a TV show and not Puerto Rico? Like, why should, Hershey, Pennsylvania or whatever get pay-per-views when they don't get live like this? And I think part of it is because they don't go to Puerto Rico that often, that it helps with these kinds of reactions. When you don't run a territory that often, people are itching and excited to be there. And in addition to that, you also had the usage of Puerto Rican talent, like Zelina Vega and Damian Priest and Bad Bunny, and you can't do that every week. You can't do that every pay-per-view event. Every pay-per-view can't be, built around the hometown guy getting a main event match. That said, Puerto Rico was tremendous. I love that these crowds, they seem to be competing now. So you see a lot of the overseas crowds. They're trying to see who can be the livest. Montreal was extremely live for Elimination Chamber. The Crash at the Castle crowd was extremely live. You know, the European shows have been jumping. You know, WWE is not just on fire, but, you know, the crowds are beginning to compete to see who can be, you know, the best audience. And, you know, Puerto Rico is winning so far, but they also did a lot of blatant Puerto Rico baiting with the way they structured the card and everything. So it worked out, you know, but they can't do it all the time. And I thoroughly enjoy different audiences and how they set up the arena different. You know, no giant screens, you know, that every building doesn't look the same, which is a big W. Is that the setup in Puerto Rico made the show look different. And that added to the energy. The drone shots made it look different. The fact that the place was packed makes it look and feel different. An audience that's excited. WWE hasn't had an audience that has been regularly excited in years. WWE audiences, especially the last 5 or 6 years, have been ripped apart for being boring, for sitting on their hands, only really popping for entrances and promo segments, not really for getting up for matches. And it's starting to turn around, I think. And this is, you know, one of the W's from the Triple H era, is that the audience is now more engaged in the product. Yes, it's starting to lean a lot more into a work rate style product, which is not my favorite idea. But for right now, it's a good mixture of the both in some ways. Like, there's a lot of work rate on this show, but then you had the Bad Bunny thing, which was a great mixture of entertainment, you know, and pro wrestling. And as long as you keep that balance, everything should be great. The problem we're going to have here is you see that he got to sneak in, you know, the Bronson Reeds and, you know, not putting a storyline behind Omos and Seth Rollins and just trusting that Seth Rollins is a big enough star to make it work, or he's a good enough wrestler to make it work. Instead of saying, hey, maybe we should put a storyline behind this, it becomes Seth Rollins will make this match worth it, and we'll justify it some other time. It's like, you know, I don't like that idea. But overall, Triple H has improved fan engagement, and I know there's a lot of people who are stuck in the 90s, you know, the Disco Infernos and those kinds of guys. But it's hard to say that wrestling isn't doing very well. Like, there's been a bunch of people who've been posting this meme, I guess you could say, that Impact has started to sell out their shows. WWE has had a string of sellouts and very engaged crowds. People haven't been sleeping on WWE shows lately. AEW sold 60,000 tickets, put an asterisk there. And, you know, even though the TV ratings aren't budging, not really. In fact, I think maybe SmackDown's ratings have been hurt since WrestleMania, and Raw's ratings definitely have been hurt, and fucking AEW took a nosedive. And of course, Impact's ratings they barely register, you know. If if you had a heartbeat like Impact's ratings, they would probably pronounce you dead 2 or 3 times. But the energy is there for wrestling now, you know. I don't know if it's transitioning into money, you know, particularly, but the energy is there. The crowds are very engaged. They're buying merchandise, you know, they're paying for tickets. Outside of the tribalism, people are generally better, happier with the products that they're watching, with the exception of the AEW audience. They're kind of, but they're about to get CM Punk back, so it's probably about to be turnaround for them. The WWE audience is happier than before. You know, there's a couple of curmudgeons like myself and some other ones there. But I'm not fool enough to ignore all of the other metrics that I'm looking at here, to ignore the evidence of my eyes and ears, and that the business is changing. you know, and it's changing for the better in terms of crowd engagement. Now, whether it stays that way, I doubt it. Again, the business is cyclical in that way, but it's been trending upwards for a little while now. Who knows how long it'll stay, but Cody has been a great boon to WWE, and him being able to be there and to main event house shows and draw at house shows since Roman's been gone. And then, of course, Roman is drawing tons of money. And now Ray and Escobar and Bad Bunny and all those guys are drawing tons of money. I mean, it's working out. You got several talents on the roster that's drawing money either through merchandise or through tickets. And they can be the focal point of these shows. And they feel comfortable not having Roman Reigns on these shows. So that should tell you something. The business is looking up for WWE. There's potential for things to improve and impact in AEW as well. So things are looking up for the business. And I'm okay with that. It might not be what I like, but just because TV ratings are down doesn't mean that the industry is dead, which I know a lot of people seem to think, or things are slowing down. It's nut cutting time for these TV executives and everything too. So by the end of this year, we'll know if it's really another, I don't want to say a boom period, because I don't believe that's the case, but if there's been an upswing in the business, we'll know, depending on if WWE manages to make more money on their revenue rights, TV rights deals, and whether AEW gets a new deal or whatever. We'll be able to tell more. But right now, things are generally looking up. All right, Backlash was a very solid show. Only 2 matches or whatever I felt was kind of weak. But overall, really good show. What do you guys think? Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Shame my brother in the comment section. Maybe he'll actually subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys later.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap.